Sound check, 1, 2.
This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield, Ryan Beckman, and Chris Goss.
Welcome to the 217 Recovery Podcast, 27th of January 2020. This is a very special edition of the 217 Recovery Podcast. My name is Corey Winfield, and I'm joined today by the one, the only, Koz.
Why is it a special podcast?
Well, because you're here. We've been wanting to do this, and we just met a few weeks ago, but you really opened my mind to many different things. You know, some starting to get 217 Recovery moved in a different direction and moving forward. Not really in a different direction, but just
multiple directions.
Yeah, and to do things to really, really help people. And we appreciate you hitting us up and liking us and even wanting to sit down with me to give me some advice. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. It's good meeting you as well.
Introduced us to the Boyne City Chamber of Commerce. That was nice. They have a shirt now. Kim does, at least.
Does she? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. It's an awesome community down here. I mean, we've got genuinely some of the honest, best people. Everybody does so much, and they really do, because they really care about this town. And at some of our meetings, we joke about the fact that we're a 2-horse town with one light or whatever, but there's a lot of recovery here. There's a lot of really good guys and ladies that they've been in the gutter, and they know how it works, and they're willing to help everybody. And I think that's awesome.
You were telling me your story too when we met a couple weeks ago, and a lot of similarities, man. A lot of similarities.
Aren't they all, though?
Yeah.
I mean, in reality.
I mean, everything from what your brother's going through, which you can get into in a minute, because I want you to tell your story, and I want you to let people know what it was like and what you're doing now. And well, we can just start with that.
It's kind of it's ironic too that we're here. And it's January, end of January, and I can remember the month of February being a very, very dark, long, cold month. And it's weird that the wintertime is the hardest for us in recovery and for alcoholics, because I don't know, it seems like you just get past the Christmas and you did nothing but hang out and party with all your friends, and then after the holidays come, you're lonely and you're like stuck in that darkness, and it's a really, really dark, cold, empty room. I remember being homeless in Grand Rapids and not, I did the couch surfing thing for a while and ran out of friends, ran out of parties, and had one friend who had an apartment that he didn't live in anymore, and I had his key for a while, so I was kind of crashing there. And then he got either evicted or they shut off the power, and the water was cold, and I still broke in there and slept there for a couple weeks. And that was February. It was either being on the streets, and I was still working. I was bartending and waiting tables and making enough money at that time to. This is 2000, so it's almost 20 years ago. It was either make enough money that night to go out drinking again, or make enough money that night to go sleep in a hotel and get a shower.
It's 30 years ago.
20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, right.
20 years ago. Yep. No, I know.
I was trying to age you.
Coming up on 19 years, April 15th. Okay. So that brings up the origin of the story. April 15th, it was Easter Sunday. I woke up Sunday morning. I think I broke into another friend's house I used to work with at the Penn Club. We used to park cars in college, and I knew where he lived, and I was freezing cold on the streets. I didn't have anywhere to go. Jimmy to his front door, and I slept on his couch or his love seat, hidden underneath a whole bunch of blankets. I remember his dogs upstairs barking. They couldn't find me. He came down looking. He left and went for work. I got up and took a shower and went straight to... I went up Michigan Street looking for a bar to go to, and because it was Easter Sunday, not many places were open. Duke's was my regular hangout. I worked downtown at the Pearl Street Lounge at the time. I found a place open on the other side of the road, Bob's Bar, I believe, and they do like a Easter Sunday brunch or buffet for the people that don't have families and places to go. ordered a drink, and I looked at my wallet, and I looked at how much money I had, and I made the debate, I've got $20 or $30. I called a cab and had the cab drive me to my parents' house out in Walker, and I said, I'm done. I need to quit. I need help. My dad came to the door, and he was ready to bring a shotgun because he didn't recognize me and know who I was. I just looked like hell, living out of a backpack. I had a flannel shirt and a T-shirt for work and a pair of black pants and black shoes, and it was, this wasn't the first bump in the road. I had tried sobriety 3 times before, court ordered, court mandated, because I had owed UILs and DWIs, 96, 98, 99, and again in 2000. I was fortunate, though, by the time I got my 3rd offense, I got it reduced to a 2nd because it was close enough to my 2nd, and it was right at the same time in 99 when they switched the 3 strikes and you're out. So I know when I was in the holding cell getting sentenced for my 66 days or whatever I did, there were other guys that were going from Kent County to Jackson for some serious time. So I know somebody was watching out for me. I took that, and I got serious about my recovery and being sober.
And there's a reason why that happened to you. And like, you could look at the other guys and like, well, it didn't happen to them. They actually had to go. Where I, somehow you could say got lucky, but there's a reason. And I believe in, some say higher power, but I believe in God.
No, totally. I believe in God as well.
Not real big into religion, but I do believe in God. I'm very spiritual, and I think everything does happen for a reason. And just like you looking in your wallet that day and having that, I want to say, come to Jesus with yourself, like,
no, totally, yep,
like it's got to end now. I think I had a similar moment, and I think we all do. People in recovery, people that aren't in recovery yet and are still going through it, I feel bad for them. We were talking to a guy on the podcast last night. His dad drinks every day. He's retired. He was a air traffic controller or something, and made some good money. And now
stressful job.
Yeah, and he
aren't they all though?
Yeah,
but that's stressful.
But you get to that point where you retire and you feel you earned it.
Isn't that what we work our asses off for our whole life? Is to be able to retire. I mean, my vision was when I turned 21. This is awesome. I can't wait to get old, and when I'm 65, I can sit back on the beach and have martinis all day long. How cool is that going to be? But not my vision now.
But it turns into you becoming addicted to alcohol, and you can't get away from it. And now his dad's like 56. He gets up every morning, has to have beer because stop the shakes. You've been there, And that is such a sad life. He should be out vacationing. He should be out fishing,
being with his family, being with his kids.
I'm trying to get more reaction from you.
Yeah, no, on the fishing part, yeah, absolutely. That's true.
Stuff that you're doing, but it's so sad to think that so many people go through that, and he's alone. He's not married. He's got no incentive almost. But he does. He just doesn't know it. And I'm glad that we had that moment that we realized, okay, but this has got to change. Yeah,
I mean, you hit it on the head just because, and I didn't jump on the fishing thing, so I was thinking about my dad, because he would say to this day he's not an alcoholic. He passed away April 23rd a few years ago, 6-7 years ago, but more than that, because he'd never held my now 14, going to be 15-year-old daughter. He developed polymyositosis. His muscles started to atrophy. He was a fullback in high school, played football, big dude. But even after he went through physical therapy and they finally got him to be able to walk again, he stopped drinking for a little while. And if he would have really, really stopped and got serious about it, because I was already sober and doing the right things, and he was proud of me for that, but he would say he was not an alcoholic because he only drank beer.
Yeah.
Like we said, a case of Natural Light or whatever, Milwaukee's Beast a day, you still might have a situation. You got a situation.
Yeah.
Just because you don't hit the hard stuff. Your life is dominated, run, or you can't do anything without... I mean, I remember those days when we're on a bowling league for Flanagan's, and it was a drunk fest every time because we were just seeing how many shots we could do, not how many strikes we could get. And If you got a strike, we were sending one to the other team. If you didn't get a strike or you got a gutter ball, we were doing shots. It didn't matter. It was crazy. But we didn't do anything unless it was revolved around being either halfway schnockered, blitzed, or getting there, So that's the part where it manipulates your life and all of your decisions. So it's running your brain. And I think you have to make that come to Jesus moment when you physically decide that your brain has to be wired to say, I want to make positive changes because I want to attract positive things to me. You need to really get down on yourself and be that magnet that attracts positivity towards you. And people always ask me why I'm always busy, why I always do stuff with the chamber, or why I'm always traveling or doing volunteer stuff, because that keeps me happy and keeps me occupied, and it's a positive thing that I'm giving back to. Basically, because when 20 years ago I was not a positive, I was not giving back, I was not somebody that you could count on, somebody that you could rely on, somebody that if you called me up at midnight and your car broke down, I'd come show up and help you out, because I wasn't answering the phone. I was on the blacklist with 5 different pizza joints. They wouldn't deliver pizza to me because I was never, you know what I mean? It's like the late night pizza, nope, that wasn't happening. But you've got to want to be positive to attract, and that's where the change comes too, in helping other people and helping yourself, because you're getting out of those old habits and those old places, the ways, the bad places, people, things that are going to bring you right back to where you were before. It's a hard thing to do when all of my friends were drinking buddies. They weren't friends.
No.
They weren't at all. But I worked in the industry. I'm really good at service. I've bartended for a number of years. The hardest part about drinking was giving away all my bar t-shirts. Every liquor and beer company I used to get from all the reps coming in, throwing Solson shirts or whatever at us, we're like, nope, those got to go. It's just not a part of me anymore. It's just not.
Right. That'd be like hosting an event, like, hey, this is recovery, and then having an open bar.
Right. A little bit of irony there.
Totally. A little late on the laugh track there, but yeah. And you mentioned too, going and volunteering and doing stuff for the chamber and doing things that you probably know. You already said that you wouldn't have done before. Doing positive stuff with your life, and that gave you that sense of.
Yeah, no, not to interrupt, but sometimes I would. I managed Tap's Bar in Grand Rapids on Ionia, and we would close down the street and we would have a block party where we had bands play, like Domestic Problems and like really big bands for our area. And I remember volunteering to help do stage setup and do all this. And the one day I was supposed to be there volunteering for it, I was passed out on the roof next to WGRD, and they called the cops to come drag me off the roof because I was blotto at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like I took a day and an opportunity to be cocktailing by noon, and there was no slow down switch or stop switch for me. It was 180 miles an hour, all 12 cylinders, let's go.
Okay, so your volunteering kind of changed.
Yes,
then.
right. No, it was more sincere, more heartfelt, let's say that. I mean, I actually showed up and did my job. Yeah. Exactly.
But that sense of belonging, that sense of purpose is something that has helped me. And for you, it's volunteering. For me, it's volunteering in, people. I just did the podcast for myself, and then people start listening and saying, hey, I like that. I like that you're talking about early recovery.
I think it's projects. I think it's something that gives your mind and your body something to focus on, and you don't have an end in sight. I mean, you have other goals, but you don't have an end. There is no end to what I do. And my wife asked me, when are you going to be happy? I'm like, I'm not going to be. Do you ask Richard Branson when's enough? No, he's going to keep going. And, you can't not mention the tragedy with Kobe Bryant yesterday and his family, but somebody lost a husband and a dad and a sister and a daughter, and it's like that man gave, and he had a plan, he was never done, and he wouldn't talk about accolades and things that he's done. He's like, or future, it's like, I'm going to keep working and keep doing what I do. And nobody could take that away from him. I think he was very focused on an end goal, to be the best and work hard at it. And I think recovery is huge that way too. If you don't work at it, I mean, I